Right, as part of their designated driver course, Coca-Cola have launched a new initiative and they've got two brilliant spokespeople to talk to us today. We don't need to talk about that because they can get the supers up to tell us all the details of it, but I like Coca-Cola, it's a great drink, eh?
Agreed.
Okay, we've done that bit, it's over. You two have done loads of work together in the past because obviously you're both ambassadors for AB, you played football for Ireland. How do you pretend that you don't hate each other when you're in each other's company, given that Mayo and Dublin are supposed to hate each other so much?
I think it's a bit overstated in terms of hate each other. I think...
Severe dislike?
Well, like,
where on the scale is it?
No, I think, like, look, we've had, I suppose, familiarity breeds contempt a little bit, and we've probably been, I don't know, probably their closest rivals over the last 4 or 5 years. So, I don't know, we go at it over the summer, and then I suppose it's over, and we bump into each other, we go into each other, and I've come across Paul, obviously, as you say, through different things, and we meet each other out at different events, or the Irish team, or Ulster holidays and stuff like that, so it's fine.
Does it make it harder then when you're actually up against each other and you kind of have to, because we know the game is intensely physical and you need to bring that physicality, otherwise you're not going to be able to win, when you do get to know people, or do you try and keep them at arm's length now, knowing full well that in 5 years' time you'll actually be, you'll have shared a lot that other people won't ever have shared and don't really know about?
No, I think it's pretty easy. I think you know, like, we are hugely competitive in terms of wanting to win. So they're the standard bearers, and we're trying to knock them off. So when we play football against each other for 70 minutes, it's not too hard. We both want to do. They have a goal, we have a goal, and we just go at it. So when it's over, it's over. I'm sure in times we'll probably reflect on what's been kind of a very competitive last 4 or 5 years against each other. Obviously, have picked up all the medals, so at the moment we're still trailing behind. Those
All-Star trips, is it automatic that everybody just blends together and gets on with it, or do they tend to be a little bit cliquish?
I wouldn't say cliquish. I'd say people go to, like, hang about with the lads that they kind of know and they're friendly with. Like,
there's always lots of Dubs and there's always lots of Mayo lads. So naturally enough, they're two big groups.
But we'd well be, like, you know, I remember 2014 we were in Boston and we had some serious crack with the Mayo boys and the Kerry lads and anyone else who was there. It was just, you know, but like, back to your initial point, there's a massive amount of respect between the different groups, and if Dublin lads face off against one another in a club county championship game, they'll go toe to toe when you cross that white line. But you know, there's a respect there that, like, is underlying, and it's the foundation of it all, because no matter what team you play against, but especially when you go to war against a team time and time again, you're going to have a massive respect for them. So yes, there is a rivalry, and like I lived with Michael Murphy in college and there was a rivalry, but at the same time massive friendship and massive respect, so you can kind of definitely cross the two lines there for sure.
When did that rivalry start meaning something to you? When did you kind of start realising actually this is, when the history of my time as a footballer comes to be written, there's going to be a big chapter about this particular rivalry?
Like with the rivalry with Mayo, yeah, like, I suppose it's just because of the fact that every year we've had such titanic battles. Like, I've gone on the record before saying, and I remember in 2013 walking off the pitch in that final, and like, we had a dressing room full of wounded soldiers, and like, I'm sure they had too. And I remember walking off and I felt I couldn't even enjoy a drink. I was that drained, and that's what happens when you play against Mayo. They put you to the pin of your collar, like, with like an intensity and physicality that if you don't match it, you know, they'll walk all over you. And so every time you go up against that and you're pushed to that kind of breaking point, you're obviously gonna, like, respect the team, and if you can come out of that battle, you know, and you've won, you know, you obviously kind of, you're very happy.
Yeah, because you won the first Mayo Dublin game of this kind of two teams existence in the All-Ireland semi-final that year in 2012.
Yeah.
And like, I guess from that point forward there's always going to be a massive rivalry, because that Dublin team are reborn that next season. It's Jim Gavin's first year the next year. Like, are you aware of the fact that it is the rivalry that will come to define your Mayo team, or does that matter in any way, that like these games, they have to mean more to you than like a second round qualifier, for example?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it's the games against them have kind of taken on a life of their own over the last couple of years, and I suppose every kind of generation has that kind of one or two teams that you had, Tyrone and Kerry, and that's kind of, we've probably taken on that mantle. But for me, it's a bit for us, it's a bit different, because, you know, they're talking about a rivalry, but they've won all the Irelands and we haven't. So we understand that we've been the ones, as I say, that have probably put them closest over the last couple of years, but you know, it's much easier sitting on the one side of the fence when you've won the All-Ireland medals, and we're the ones just trying to get over the line. So we're very much aware of it, I suppose, but you know, in the moment we're you know, going into next year, you know, it's Dublin, Mayo, and then there's a couple of teams but Dublin seems to be able to steamroll everybody else. We don't seem to be able to do that, so we are very much aware that we need to be able to tick all those boxes along the way to try and get back to them.
Yeah, I'll talk about the steamrolling in a minute, but it's a fair point. What is it about those games? Like, what is it about the physicality of those games that leaves everybody feeling so knackered? Like, and that you don't have that feeling. What is the nature of that Mayo challenge? It's not just the physical nature of the challenges, is it? Or is that the thing that separates them?
Well, the way they play, you know, is very much a man-to-man type game. They play a running game themselves, so every time they get the ball, no matter what position you're playing as a forward, you're going to be on the back foot, you're going to have to tag runners, or else they're going to create an overlap. When you get the ball, they're in your face, right up from inside your own 14-metre line, right through each one of the lines. So if you get a short kick-out off, you got to work through 6 or 7 lines of intensity and defence from them. So, you know, that like drains you. You know, there's not a second of the game like there's a break in play. You know, you don't get possession and you can kind of hold on to it for a minute or two and gather your thoughts. Like, it's relentless. It's nearly like a game of tennis as opposed to a game of football, because there's always a lot of turnovers. It's end to end. And that's what makes it so exciting for the fans to watch, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas we could walk out of a game of Mayo and feel we didn't play well, and everyone thinks it's the best game they've seen in years. You know, that kind of way. Like, so it's not always the prettiest of football, but it's just the level of, you know, intensity and end-to-end excitement that kind of, I suppose, encapsulates people, but also kind of leaves you at the end of it feeling like, you know, you're wasted, you know?
At some point in the middle of these games, have you ever thought, yeah, this is the one where we're going to get over the line here, or?
No, yeah, it's like Paul said, like, they are kind of to and fro and back and forth. They're like, I think it's one of the things is the style that both teams plays into them being kind of enthralling games where they're end to end, their scores. I think this year personally, I felt for the first time, and probably because we got them to kick the ball for longer periods, and we had success around the middle. We kind of felt, I personally felt within the game we were in control for long stretches. No, we never pulled away or anything like that, but in previous games I kind of felt we were hanging on a little bit more, whereas this time I felt we were a little bit more in the game. And in fairness to them, they took control right at the very key moment of the game, in the last 6 or 7 minutes. We lost that kind of momentum or that control that we had, I thought, and they're so finely balanced that, like, it's only ever been a point or two between us, and that those things, you know, I say a little bit more control this time. We still only lost by a point. You know, in other games where I felt we were losing away, we still lost by a point, so it's hard to really kind of to gauge.
Yeah, what are they like playing for you? How do you feel the ebb and flow of them goes?
I think I kind of alluded to it. Like, you know, it's you never feel like they're buried. Anyway, that's one thing. Like, you know, I remember like sorry, I'll make sure I get this right, but I think it's the replay last year. We went 4 up, and we felt like, yeah, right, this is like we could actually kind of put together a few scores, and then out of nowhere, like, they're back into it, you know, and that's just the kind of nature of it. It's never like, I wouldn't say like in many of them there's been more of a 4-point gap, maybe a 5-point gap in one of them, and we let it slip, or they let it slip. Like, it's just there's a couple of aspects to it. There's one, there's very skillful footballers in the show, but there's two, there's like characters within both teams that really just never say die, you know, and that's probably what's made the games be kind of the exciting games that they've been, but also it's going to build this kind of bit of like, you know, as just a life of its own, you know.
Do you feel alive in the middle of them?
You feel alive in the middle of them, but you definitely feel dead at the end of them, that's for sure, like, you know. But you feel like, for me, that's the white heat of like intensity that like makes me get up out of bed and train at 6 o'clock in the morning, like.
Because you can practice, like, I know everybody tries to practice and make it seem as real as possible, and that's the whole point of good quality practice, that the All Blacks have kind of got that whole thing. But you can't fake that. You can't fake the games on the line. The team are just as good as this. It's going to the last minute, no matter what happens here. That's
what you got to benchmark yourself against, and it's very hard to replicate. And I think it's the thing you'll miss when you're gone, when you finish playing football, is that, like, you can look on at everything, like, but that battle, when you see that battle taking place, like, I can't deal with watching that. I need to be in the middle of that, like, you know. And that's kind of what it is when we play against one another. So very hard to replicate. Even in training games, they can be intense, they can be hard hitting, but that's hard to replicate.
Now Mayo tried to replicate it almost every week this year in the qualifiers. Like
different levels, yeah.
You desperately tried to make everybody think, Jesus, maybe this is the week that they're going to go out. So you obviously kind of can replicate that feeling a little bit of like it being on the edge.
On the line, yeah. Yeah, not at the same kind of intensity. I mean, we've probably played in some of the games like we put ourselves in good positions and just let teams right back into them for the life of me. I don't know why we do it and give everybody a bit of a heart attack. But yeah, no, for sure we could have gone out to Derry the first day out. James Keelan is free, and honestly, I thought he was going to kick it. Drops it short. The Cork game, they came back with 2 goals down the stretch and beat them in extra time. So Roscommon, they had possession for about 90 seconds going down in the drawing game. Like, and there's no reason why they couldn't have got a score that day. So I don't know what the reason for it is. We just seem to play a lot better. More consistent when it's required. In the All-Ireland finals though, like even now in retrospect that you don't have a medal at the end of it, can you look back and go, this is the time of my life, these minutes, these games, like, is that possible for you? Because like most of us are never going to get that experience of actually knowing that we can influence this thing and it's there for us. Yeah. No, I think this final, I think when we look back, and I watched it, I think the Wednesday after the game, and when you lose by a point, you're always looking for every little ball, every breaking ball, every hand pass, kick pass. When you're winning by a point, you don't look at that. But like, I remember watching with my brother, and he was like, oh, we could have done that, look, that pass or whatever. And I'm like, Shamey, we're actually doing like so many things well here. Like, you got to kind of understand and appreciate that we're doing so many things well. And like, I think our conversion rate was higher than we've ever had it. Our kickouts went really well. But we just you have to sometimes accept, like, Dublin were just that little bit better than us on the day. They were just a little bit above on their conversion rate, or and some of those stats that if you told me before the game you're going to these are what you're going to hit, I'd be like, yeah, we'll win the game if we do that. And like, it's just it's sometimes you have to just kind of accept and hold your hands up and say we played a really, really good game. It just wasn't good enough on the day. Yeah, Paul, you had a kind of a difficult enough couple of seasons really with injury over the last couple of years. How are you now, and what's your kind of long-term prognosis?
I actually, this year I just had pulled my calf. I was in great nick in regards to, like, I had a chronic injury for the last number of years, which is your groin, which I don't think as a player, it's had anyway, or your hip, like, it's just a common injury. So I'm not gonna, like, there's no excuses. Like, everyone's dealing with little niggles. So like, that's like, I just probably wasn't playing as well over the last number of years. But this year I felt really good, and I was fresh as well. And but I pulled my calf the week before the championship, first game against Carlow.
Great timing.
And I was going to start that day. I'd say I was playing well in the latter stage of the league and in the build up to championship. And then on my way back, I pulled it over 4 weeks. It's a tricky little injury, and I pulled it again on the way back. So I was there for 10 weeks with what it was a nothing injury, that kind of way. So that was just a bit of a freak. But I suppose maybe, I don't know, like, but when you kind of come over that 30-year-old barrier, you maybe pick up these little things a little bit more often. I don't know, but hopefully now I can I've had a good rest. Club football's finished first week in October, so I'm actually like mad for road now. Like, I'm just mad to get back into the swing of things early and get a good run the league and build up to match fitness. Do you feel now like you need an individualised training program because you are at that stage of your career, and like, your athleticism was one of the things that defined who you were as a footballer. It kind of was the prototype for that role that a lot of people try and reach, but are never going to reach because they don't have your athleticism. So, like, is there a natural wear and tear at the end of your career to pay the balance of what you've already used, that you now desperately need to manage that properly, or do you think you can still train the way you did when you were 24, 25? Yeah, I think there's a balance. I don't think you can. I think my head says I can train the same way. I think my body's kind of slowly trying to tell me that, like, maybe I can't, And I was just saying earlier on today that I read Paul O'Connell's book in the off season. I was advised to, and it's a good book to read to kind of get you to start thinking about how you kind of get the most out of yourself when you kind of come over the age of 30, and it's little things like, I'd be in the gym and I'm trying to lift the same weights as some of the other lads are, and then I can't get out of bed because my back is like, is in a knot for two days, and that's just stubbornness, and that's just trying to be that competitive person that I am. But I think you just need to pick your battles a little bit better now that you're kind of, I think you can definitely do all the volume and the running, but if a coach comes up to you and says, Flynn, you can sit this one out, you just take it and sit it out and don't think, I can go again, so. O'Connell reckons that he used to get himself so emotionally charged
before the match that he would go out and kill people in the first 10 or 15 minutes, and that was great, and the whole crowd responded to it, and his teammates responded to it, and that was his identity. But ultimately it cost him a really serious injury profile because he was going out and doing stupid things, whereas now he kind of realises at the end of his career for the last couple of years he needs to be calm and think, and you know, it's a chess match that he's got to make his way through. Do you see a difference in your own game then for the next couple of years as well, or is it just really about the training? Your game will stay the same? Yeah,
no, I think the game has to change. If you can't evolve, well then you won't survive. I think that's probably the key point I'll take out of it. I think there's an opportunity to evolve if you kind of maybe go into a midfield position. I think it's a little bit different, but and it's a lot more about kind of thinking your way around the pitch. Yes, there's obviously, you know, an intensity to it, but half forward is, I think, probably more demanding in the sense that you have to get back and you have to get forward, and you have to do it time and time again. And with half back lines, the platform for most defences in most of the top teams, like, you know, you're most of the time you're chasing back, and you're still kind of required to clip a few scores and set up the play and link the play. So in midfield, you just kind of you can probably manage that a little bit better. So I'd like to evolve into, you know, a midfielder and, you know, really battle hard to try and make that a position for the next couple of years. So
I'm hearing midfielders have it easy. That's what I'm hearing.
No, it's
I don't either.
No, but
I'm there in 5 years.
What is the evolution of you as a footballer? Where are you now?
Centre back.
Fullback, is he? Yeah,
fullback. I do fullback. Yeah, no, I don't know. Yeah, it's been kind of funny when I obviously started off at midfield and then into full forward and back out to 11. So I've been there the last while. So I like playing at 11, but you know, it all depends on what the opposition throw is for us, because you know, I'm aware of what teams are trying to do to me in certain circumstances, and we need to be aware of that, not just for me but for other players. And so yeah, I'm happy where I'm at 11, but you know, I wouldn't mind playing centre back either. It would be nice.
Ready to go wherever you need. You're playing basketball this winter. You got shit last year for playing basketball and doing your ankle. Everybody's like, oh, what was he doing playing basketball? But actually it's a really good thing for you to do in the off season because it keeps you fit, right?
It's not really the fitness thing that kind of drives me to do it. It's more just enjoyment and something totally different, to be honest. It's not, I don't go there, I want to stay fit because I want to play basketball.
Right. It's having an exterior life.
Well, it's like, I like American sport. I love basketball as a young fella. I played it for years and played it up until I was 18 or 19 years of age. So it's, you know, it became a story that I went back playing, but it's just something natural that somebody does when they've been away from a sport they loved as a young fella. They go back and play. So it was born out of just pure, I'd like to go and play a bit of basketball again for the first time in 5 or 6 years. Yeah, but I think it probably does have an impact in like handling skills. Like it doesn't damage you in any way. No. Do you think it improves you? I'm not playing consistently enough in the winter to, I think, see a dramatic improvement. But as in for an understanding of certain things as a grown up, like coming up against a team who understand I would recognise some of the stuff that they do from being basketball IQ and stuff like that. So I would spot things like that. But I do think it definitely helps. Help defense, spatial awareness, all that kind of stuff. I know that you'd spot it in a basketball game, an NBA game, you spot it in, and so I've grown up with that kind of stuff, so I understand it a little bit better. And are they the best at it at the moment? Well, obviously. But like you can see the concepts that they're using? I can see some of the concepts, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So like other teams are trying to copy them, and it's very difficult to copy them because it takes a while. Well, not that it just takes a while, but they've got really good footballers as well. It's very it's grand having a method or a system or a way of playing. Like if you don't have good footballers, it's going to break down eventually. So they've just got really, really good players, and they're very process driven in the way they play it. Yeah. And so it doesn't matter who it is. You seem to like all that stuff though. Like you take on board the fact that we're trying something different here. Like the Vshape against Tyrone, for example. I was like, wow, look at this. Look what they're doing. I've never seen this in a football field before. I think it's about like it's about taking little pieces of it from whatever. Basketball, rugby, you know, soccer, you know, like whatever, and you can take little small nuances from those games and try and make our games a little bit better, you know. I think the day of, you know, going out and, you know, giving it socks and you know, putting your heart and soul into it is not going to win you in All-Ireland anymore. Like I think you have to think your way around the pitch, and you have to be tactically astute and be well set up and have players who can be intelligent enough to play in different positions.
and not just siloed into like a half forward or a corner forward. And you know, it's very transient now. Like every position we would see is you need to be able to kick a score, you need to be able to block, you need to be able to tackle, you need to be able to defend, catch a kick out, and that's just the way the game has gone.
Yeah.
And with that, then it allows you to be a little bit more flexible about how you set up.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I would say we do it, but I'd say if you look at teams going through the years, there's a lot of teams that have been doing it as well, you know. So
Aidan, obviously you're so close to that ultimate crown and title. There's no reason for us not to think that you're not going to be a better team next year, except
I'll hear you next February saying that
you're finished. Yeah, but that's what tradition decrees. It's like the team who gets closest, we write them off almost.
Well, we'll get hammered somebody in the league, and then that definitely it'll be gone.
Well, you probably will get hammered with somebody. It just happens. The way the league works.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? It's like you guys obviously don't feel any of that. Like there's no sense that the clock is ticking. Like Andy Moran is the example to everybody. The clock is largely irrelevant if you put the work in and can remain injury free.
Yeah, I think we were very quick, especially in Gaelic football, to kind of just, well, most sports, to be honest, just somebody hits 30 and thanks very much, your time is nearly done.
He's ancient.
Yeah, so I think, look, if you're willing to prepare yourself in the right way and manage your life correctly, there's no reason why you can't play. Andy's an example of that. You know, he's changed his life around in terms of work and his training, so he's been able to do what he's been able to do. So, but from back to your point, I think, no, like, we're as motivated as ever. Like, boys are already back and ready to go. So we're that. Everybody says it every year. Surely they can't come back again. Like, I don't think that's ever been a problem for us. We're aware of where we're at in terms of our age profile, but we're also aware we've got a very good, talented group of players. So there's no point. I don't see boys walking away. Obviously, Alan retired today. So I think he'd be the only one.
Yeah.
I think the rest of the boys are very aware that there's no point hanging up the boots when you've got an opportunity to win an All-Ireland. Yeah,
Dennis Bastick has gone from you guys. It seems like he might be the only one as well of the older crew who are going. So everybody's doubling down and coming back next year. And again, that whole kind of, where does the hunger come from? It has become the identity of the group, is that they want to win things now. So motivation doesn't ever really seem to be an issue for you guys.
No, I don't think it's, like, you know, like Alan Dillon's a great example, Dennis Bastick. They're guys who I think they really appreciate wearing their county jersey and the privilege that goes with it. And I think that, like, we'll all be the same. We'll go for as long as the body allows and as long as we're being picked, you know. And Dennis is a great servant to the Drum jersey. He's a great leader in the dressing room, and he's one of the guys who I'd say can inspire lads to kind of realise that you don't have to be a young lad who comes through all the systems to play and to win with your county. He came into the setup like quite late in his career, and so yeah, like, lads, there are a number of lads who are over the age of 30. There's no doubt about that. But there's also now younger lads coming through. So there's going to be pressure from the top, and there's going to be pressure from the bottom, like for lads who are going to want to play, and you know, so it's going to be interesting. But I think there's a competitive bunch there who still feel they have something to offer, you know. And
do you get any downtime now? Is this like a few weeks of mad crazy partying properly, and then, you know, into serious stuff for December?
Well, I'm just back from Australia, so yeah, I like to take a couple of weeks now, but I don't think there's any mad partying or anything, like, so we'll be tipping away. I'll enjoy Christmas though, and whenever Stephen says it's time to come back, it'll be time to come back.
Yeah.
So I've had
there's the picture.
Bit of downtime, like picking through. We were doing a bit of work today.
Nice jumpers.
It's
Paul was supposed to bring his entry. That's why this is here.
left it tactically after the home, but no, there's been a nice bit of downtime now. So looking forward.
Were you on which of the junkets did you get to go on this year? Did you get to go to Boston?
I did, yeah.
Nice.
We won't call it a junket, but it was.
Now, come on, we all know what goes on.
It was a good trip. It was a good trip now, but. Settle down now. It's all done.
Well, I hope they don't work you too hard this side of Christmas. Anyway, lads, great stuff. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.